Okay, hello everybody. Thank you so much. Catherine McNally and Julie Martell are here to share with you and talk about why diversifying your income is smart. And we are so grateful that you're here to pop on with us. We've got a few guests popping on. Please put comments below. We're also going to be posting and broadcasting this on YouTube. So this has been because we just think this is a really valuable, really important conversation to have, particularly now. I think more now than ever. Why diversifying your income is really kind of the smart way to go. And I've been doing it for years. I don't know about you, Julie, but I think it's been a godsend
Yeah.
to really start thinking about how your money has to make more money. So, what quadrant, what percentage of the population do you want to be a part of? Do you want to be part of that 80% or that 90% that is just working for the feet to the grind, feast or
Mhm.
famine, hand to mouth, right? Or do you want to be that certain smaller percent that is actually those people that are actually activating their income to make more income, to be living a more flourishing, more contributing life. The wealthy, basically, but wealthy not just in the pocketbook, but wealthy in the mindset too as well. Because I
Yes.
think it takes a certain kind of mindset to do it. So let's just kind of dive in. Please comment below, ask questions. We'll be swinging around afterwards to follow up with you, but I would love to hear from you and why diversifying your income is smart. So Julie, for you,
Yeah.
talk to me about what that is for you.
Well, I think it's a running theme that we've said this the past couple of weeks. You totally got to that place before I did.
Mm,
Um, I've now been diversifying my income for 10 years, but it took a while for me to come around and understand because I was an artist and I
mm.
was so focused on that I really came from the school of Mammoth that if I had a plan B, I was going to take it. And that was
Mm,
actually a detriment.
right.
Rather than now, as I've become more mature and I didn't want to live in this hand to mouth state because it wasn't serving me even as an artist, then I realized like, no, 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 I don't have to be broke in order to be good at my career.
Right.
And the overall thing, and as I, get into it more and start talking to other people, and especially with what has happened in the world over the past year, is why does anyone want to be dependent on one thing?
Yes.
Whether that is
Yeah.
one like job, one career, a boss, like you're giving that person so much power, right? One
Mhm.
festival, like you're giving them so much power.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think just when you take a breath and you're like, no, that doesn't even make sense.
Right.
Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So when yeah, put ego away and be like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
you're meant for more.
It, it's a mindset too, but
Yeah,
it's also a practical thing. Like I think they're kind of cohesive together. Because in our industry as performers, there was just it's interesting because I even talked to my dentist because he works one job, right?
totally.
Like doctors, dentists, lawyers are actually kind of in a weird sort of way. They're contract based too. Like
Yeah,
they rely on clientele
yeah,
in order to get their cash flow
yeah.
going. So he always would say to me, "You are so smart because part of our organization as actors, there's a certain percentage of our fee from what we
Mhm,
get paid for as actors without our choice funnels right into an RSP,
mhm.
right? And then our contribution goes to RSP, which we're actually getting 6% of our paycheck goes into RSP. So our because they just maybe didn't trust that actors would be smart enough to put into an RSP. But a lot of people aren't doing that. Like I'm actually quite surprised how many people don't have the are financially illiterate in some, and it's no judgment at all. But to not having it taught at schools like that. I remember teaching my son
Exactly.
Kieran certain percentage into donations. Put it aside because donations not only help others, which is all part of giving back, because you want to make more money so you can give back to your
Exactly.
community.
Mhm.
But also it's also helps with taxes at the end of the year. Then there's the certain percentage that goes into your savings, right? And there's a certain percentage for your hard costs for your living. And to have that kind of I know it sounds really simplistic, but it's really been getting out of that mindset of being a starving artist, right? Getting out of the mindset, not just have to be an artist with that, my tagline is feeding financial freelancers to financial freedom, right? So the starving freelancer, but you don't have to be a freelancer to starve, right? A lot of people, as you say, when you put all your eggs in one basket, you work for that one person, or you, even with a freelancer, you're thinking, oh, I've got to think about my next gig while I'm in the gig now, because I got to like save money from the gig now to survive on when that gig is over.
Yeah,
So you're not enjoying the gig that you're doing
totally.
because you're constantly budgeting and negotiating financially. And go ahead, Julie.
And I agree with everything you just said, but I think also savings and our RSPs, that's like not everyone has that ability,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
So why not? Like
Well,
what is the gap that is saying,
yeah,
what is that gap? And
yeah.
I think it's swinging around to what you were saying.
Well, totally. And I
Go ahead.
think the gap is very real for most people, right?
Mhm.
Like when we cast this, because I don't think we're just talking to artists. Like when we cast this net, like wide, and we're in Ontario, so we're in Toronto right now,
Mhm.
and realizing, hearing that the Ontario government is raising the minimum wage to $15 in January 1. Okay. So I was just, okay. I was like, okay, finally, that minimum wage is being raised to $15. But then when you actually peel the onion back, the living wage in Toronto is 22, over $22.
Yeah.
That's the living wage in
Yeah.
Toronto. It will
Yeah.
go down when you're further outside the city.
Right.
So minimum wage, even though like this is people are celebrating that, that's still a starvation wage.
Yeah.
$15 an hour. Who
Mhm.
can live off that?
Yeah.
So no one has room for savings. No one's putting any money in our RSPs when you can barely pay for food and pay for rent.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So that is another thing. Like people just need to, even if that is, yes, I believe what we have going on with the digital economy and using the internet and we're globally based. I think it is by far the best platform. But
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
really do have to start thinking about turning a hobby into a side hustle. And
Yeah. Right.
we live in a gig economy.
Right.
We have to, like you said, our money needs to start working for us. We need
Mhm.
to work smarter, not harder.
Mhm.
Because at $15 an hour, you can't work enough hours in a day to get out of your hole, get out of your
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, who's going to work for 15 hours a day? Like I live in the Distillery District downtown Toronto. For those who don't know, it's a very kind of a touristy, wonderful place to live. But there's little mini shops, and there's one proprietor there that says, I need somebody to work the Christmas market, basically on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. for $15 an hour. Who is she going to get? Like a retired person? She's not gonna get a student because they're in school. They're not gonna work for $15 an hour. They can't afford it. They
Yeah.
can't afford that time. So, it's so interesting because I did that like years ago when I didn't have maternity benefits with Karen. I worked in one of those shops, but
Wow.
I also had my coaching business. I also had our beautiful social selling business, Arbonne. And I also had, I was lifeguarding too. So I was doing four different things, which
Mhm.
now has now funneled into a beautiful thing of my life of design, which is I'm coaching and acting and doing my Arbonne business, my social selling global business that we talked about. So I'm
Mhm.
actually I niched it down to exactly what I want, and there's a constant rotation of funds that is feeding into my investments because you want to take the money that you've because you now have that wiggle room of percentage you can take from the cash flow that you have to invest for it to make more money, right?
Mhm.
So that's why I think personally I feel social selling is the way to go. Like I really do in these businesses because it's sustainable in between things. Like it's something that you can fit into the nooks and crannies and pockets of your life. It's not a huge investment. It really isn't. Like And
exactly.
it's smart.
Yeah,
Like if you have the mentorship and the leadership, they'll teach you how to do it smart with time and with your and also, with some businesses, mostly ours, the products I'm going to use anyway. Like, why would I buy from another store? Buy from my
exactly.
store, make the commission off that. Yeah.
As I'm putting on my hand cream and you're drinking your fizz and my lip balm, like I think that is the biggest thing. Like, because I was having this conversation with someone the other day about they were thinking about, buying a franchise, right?
Mm,
They're
hmm
they're um, in the health, or I'm not sure what they do.
hmm
It's none of my business. But they were looking into buying a Tim Hortons franchise, which
hmm
is between on the low end 60,000 to 400,000 by the time it's all pimped out. Who's got that money? Then it's going to take probably 5 years to get that money back. Like,
hmm
it just doesn't make sense for your ordinary person
Yeah.
who, but for, like we said, I think it's one of the reasons why we're so jazzed and why I do love talking about Arbonne with everyone,
hmm
because it's doable.
Yeah.
Because it's not, you're not saving for this to get this platform up and running.
Yeah.
Arbonne does it for you.
Yeah, it's already there.
Yeah,
All the infrastructure is right there for you.
it's
And
there.
sometimes, I had a response for somebody on LinkedIn that she was interested in what I do, an extra stream of income. She's a financial advisor, which was great. It's like, but she had this sort of mindset that we're not really entrepreneurs, and that this is really for stay-at-home moms,
Yes. Yes.
which are it's for yeah, sure, stay-at-home moms for
Mhm,
sure.
mhm.
But there's doctors and lawyers and teachers. Like,
Oh my
dentists,
god.
people like everybody that we talked about at the beginning of our conversation
Yeah,
who are looking for this.
yeah.
I have a colleague of mine who's a childhood friend, and he's a veterinarian, very high end, very highly respected, high vibe guy. But he does a social selling business, and it's been very lucrative
Yeah,
and it's beautifully integrated into what he was doing anyway.
yeah.
So it's just like a no brainer for me. Like, it's not about an either or, and it's not about those who are so you people who do, I think, this kind of business, an extra stream of income, have a mindset and a high vibe anyway. Like, they don't think
If they're gonna be successful at it.
if they're going to be successful at it, right?
Yeah,
It's not half empty, half full. It's just fill up your cup.
yeah,
As far
and
as I'm concerned.
yet it's effort based,
Hmm
right? Like, and
Absolutely.
I loved that about it, as I
Hmm
know you did,
Yeah.
because I'm a hard worker.
Yeah.
We're hard work. You came to the table with multiple businesses, so you weren't scared of work. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not scared of work, if you realize that if in order to change the trajectory, it's up to you. If you get
hmm
that, you
hmm
will thrive in this space.
hmm
I have
Or
no doubt.
Or if you just want an extra $300 to pay for your son's hockey or soccer, and you're not like going, oh my gosh, I'm depriving my child of an opportunity here.
Exactly. I'm going to bring up my phone for a second because I was looking at that stat about that
Hmm
very thing. Like, not everyone who starts a social selling business has the mindset of, I'm going to change my life. This is a
Yeah,
career. I'm going to be a millionaire,
yeah.
move over Jeff Bezos. Like, you don't have to have that mindset. You start because of a gap. You start because no one can live off of $15 an hour. But like you said, on the low end, like there are 4 management levels with our company Arbonne, and the average monthly income of a district manager at the first
hmm
level is $300 a month.
hmm
That's an extra $3,600 a year. Like, you know, that pays for something.
Yeah. Or it can go into an investment for something too,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
hmm
Yeah,
hmm
absolutely. For sure. So I think that is kind of the biggest one of the beautiful things with these businesses is that it can start small. Your vision of what you want this social selling business to be can be a car payment. It can
Yeah.
be your cell phone bill. It
Right.
can be fun money if you're in university,
Right.
right? Or it can be what it is for us now,
Right.
which is truly life changing.
Yeah.
This is money that is now it's not small potatoes anymore. Like, which is
Well, and there's a
crazy.
huge percentage in Canada, like at least 42%, I believe, if I'm talking about numbers, who buy products from social selling companies, from direct sales.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
hmm So this is not a spammy pammy thing. Like
Oh
we have to
God.
really understand that there is a market for that. Like, I just got off a call from a woman who married us 25 years ago. I haven't talked to her
Wow.
25 years ago, and she reached out to me out of the blue because she was she's a cancer survivor, and her
Okay.
hair was coming back, and she wanted it to be high, a healthier product. So he reached out to me, and she's now reaching out to all her network of ministers
Wow.
um, to so who don't know about it, and she wants to help them have a better holiday shopping experience. So there's so many different ways that you can bring value to people's life and also diversify your income at the same time. So I want to make sure that it's just not numbers, that it's actually a more holistic approach to your community, your network, and a full rounded experience.
But that in itself, doesn't that just feel good? Like
Yes.
when we're not getting paid, right? How many times do we recommend a restaurant, a book,
hmm
the
hmm
Peloton, you know, a babysitter? Like we're
uh,
constantly recommending things to people and not getting paid. But, speaking of cancer, I don't know who's watching this, but I'm a cancer survivor. 2 years ago, I was bald. So you can bet when people are like, oh my God, Julie, your hair looks amazing after 2 years of going through chemo and immunotherapy. And I'm like, well, I use Arbonne, right? Like, it's so
mhm.
easy for me to be like, I use Arbonne.
And and I also want to tag on something there too as well. So I want to be really clear. We don't vomit the product. We don't vomit the opportunity. It's actually you're part of, I think, part of a beautiful community of people who are small business owners. So for everything that I say, like not everything, but I'll say this, yeah, and then I'll go to the shop, go to support this fabulous woman who helped me buy this beautiful dress for this event, like because you have a different mindset of it's more of a community based of support rather than a scarcity mindset. And once you have the abundant mindset, then you're here willing to give value and service and problem solve for lots of people. And it's okay if they say no, that's perfectly fine. It's not for
Yeah.
everybody. That's awesome. Um, but it's again debunking, demything what this is and what is possible. Because I think that's really important when we think about diversifying income. Because you don't want to feel, I don't like seeing people stuck. I think that's my big thing when I see creative people stuck, when I see stay-at-home mom, doctors, lawyers who are stuck. Like I got shocked when my dentist told me I don't have any flexible income. I go, what? When I'm sending my check or putting down my credit card, because how's that possible? But there's this overhead and there's all this. They just, it's a fascinating conversation. I think when we talk about diversifying income
And
and
that's
who it gives value to. Yeah,
yeah. And the difference of trading time for money,
right.
right? Like all of those people you just mentioned, they have to clock in. Even if you're a doctor, I'm assuming you need to be in there clocking hours in order to get paid.
Yeah. Mhm.
When you're when you have a side hustle, a side income in an area that your money you don't it's residual or you're now your money's working for you.
Mhm.
That's another thing, right? Like when you have either real estate or like a social marketing company.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, I
Uber, Lyft.
it,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. But Uber, Lyft, you have to be in that car
Yeah.
driving in order to make money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Here, I have business in Australia, and I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, someone placed an order while I was
Right.
sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's wrap up because we've got about a
Yeah.
minute left. So look at working smarter,
Yeah.
not hard. Have a work ethic, but work smarter, right? having the cash flow in order to invest, in order to make money. How do you create that cash flow? That's one part, and
Mhm,
that's what you can do with your side hustle side.
mhm,
Also, having an extra stream of income that maybe help offset the cost for just the basic functions that you want to give to your child or your life, like the soccer practice and things like that. And also giving your time and financial freedom to do what you love to do. For us, it's performing and
mhm.
coaching. What else, Julie? Just
Just to
to
have agency over your life,
yeah,
and not allow one person, one place to have ownership
right,
over your trajectory.
right.
Because if anything has played out over the past 2 years, right, is that a lot of people are living in a house of cards, right? That
Yeah.
is I can't I can, because I have a lot of people in my life that the stress of that
Mm,
the stress of that is, and there's a better way, right?
mhm.
There is a better way.
So thank you, Julie Martell. We're going to be seeing each other this weekend, one of our
We
first events kind of
Oh
together
my
as
god.
a company, and
Yeah.
it's going to be so exciting.
Can't wait.
So here we go. And thank
Yeah.
you, everybody. Please put your questions down below. Swing round. Julie Martell is on LinkedIn. I'm also on LinkedIn, feeding starving freelancers to financial freedom. We're also on Instagram, McNally62. Julie, what is your handle on
At
Instagram?
Jules Martell.
Great. So we can communicate that way if you have more questions and you want to learn more about what we do and how we can bring value to your financial life. So thanks so much. I'll
Thanks,
see you soon,
Catherine.
Julie.
Bye, guys. Thank
Bye.
you.